Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. We begin this hour with the latest out of the Middle East. U.S. Central Command says forces in the Strait of Hormuz have turned back 10 ships since President Trump's blockade on Iranian ports began on Monday. The military is calling the latest U.S. operation in the Middle East, quote, fully implemented, and claims to have completely halted Iran's economic sea trade. Well, now Iran's armed forces are threatening to block shipping from the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and the Red Sea if the U.S. continues this blockade. An Iranian commander is calling the blockade a violation of that temporary ceasefire agreement, which is set to expire next Wednesday. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not confirm when peace talks with Iran would resume, but she said the Trump administration feels good about a potential deal. Two people familiar with the negotiations told NBC News that in-person talks between the U.S. and Iran could continue as early as this week. This past weekend, Vice President J.D. Vance returned from a 21-hour marathon negotiation in Pakistan without a long-term deal to end the war. We have a team of correspondents and analysts joining us with the latest on the shaky ceasefire deal and the global impact. First, let's check in with NBC News international correspondent Molly Hunter in London. Molly, good morning. Let's start with these peace talks between the U.S. and Iran. The New York Times is reporting that senior mediators from Pakistan have arrived in Tehran this morning. They want to strengthen that ceasefire deal before it expires next week. So what are we learning about the potential for more ceasefire negotiations?
Yeah, Joe, that's right. The New York Times reports that those mediators who are on the ground in Tehran not only want to strengthen it, but really encourage both sides to get back to the table. NBC News has confirmed that Pakistani officials were on the ground in Tehran. And actually, the Iranian foreign minister has tweeted out some pictures and some video. You can see it right now on your screen of those officials in Iran. Now, the spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry said yesterday, Joe, Iran has continued to exchange messages from the U.S. through Pakistan after last week's failed peace talks. No agreement on whether or not those talks will continue. I know you mentioned our reporting about the possibility of in-person talks coming up. And Caroline Leavitt, as you said we feel good about the prospects of a deal. It's obviously in the best interest of Iran, she said, to meet the president's demand. But we will certainly keep an eye out if there's anything firm on that, Joe.
Let's talk ports, Molly. The U.S. blocking marine traffic at Iranian ports, and now Iran, as I mentioned, threatening to block shipping throughout the region. So how is this U.S. blockade impacting traffic through that critical Strait of Hormuz? And what happens if Iran then blocks more traffic out of the region?
Right. So the U.S., as you mentioned, Joe, said that their blockade was now, quote, fully implemented. Overnight, CENTCOM said they have turned around 10 ships. Now, Iran disputes this through the semi-official Fars news agency this morning. And an IRGC commander is now threatening retaliation, saying that this not only violates the ceasefire, but they will disrupt other waterways, including the Persian Gulf, the Sea of Oman, and importantly, the Red Sea, if the U.S. continues this blockade, Joe.
And this is very complicated. There are many layers to this. So on top of that, we have to talk about what's happening with Israel and Lebanon. We know in a Truth Social post overnight, President Trump said leaders from those two nations are going to speak for the first time in decades. Israel has now confirmed those talks. So what can you tell us about these upcoming negotiations?
Yeah, this would be a big deal, as President Trump said, the first time in about 3 decades that the leaders of Israel and Lebanon would actually speak, not an in-person meeting, but would speak on the phone. As you mentioned, it has been confirmed by Israel. This morning, a member of Israel's security cabinet said that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will speak today with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun. But we have not heard confirmation from Beirut. We are certainly asking. Now, Pakistan, as you know, Joe, has been pushing to include Lebanon in any kind of broader ceasefire deal between Iran and the U.S. But the U.S. has been very clear that that is a separate diplomatic track between Israel and Lebanon. And we will certainly be keeping our eye on that today, too, Joe.
All right, no doubt. Molly Hunter, thank you so much. Let's head to Washington, bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Melanie Zanona. Mel, good morning. We know Senate Republicans voted for a 4th time yesterday to block that Democratic-led resolution that would prevent President Trump from taking further military action in Iran without approval from Congress. Let's listen to more of what Senator Chuck Schumer had to say just before the vote, likely guessing how this was going to end.
They're not going to be able to escape continuing to vote on this. Until our Republican colleagues join us, we will continue forcing a vote on our war powers resolution week after week after week.
So the measure did fail 47-52, largely along party lines. Still, I know some Republicans are beginning to express frustrations about just how long they'll be comfortable with this. Could these votes look different if the war drags on, Mel?
Yeah, well, the dam has not broken yet on Capitol Hill in terms of Republican support for this war. But, Joe, in talking to Republican leadership sources, their view is that they can't keep holding off these war power votes forever, especially if the war drags on or if there are boots on the ground, because there have been a number of Republicans who have expressed some reservations about the war, who've said that boots on the ground would be a red line for them, who said their support is not unlimited. And so one key deadline that we are looking out for is the 60-day mark of the war. That is going to happen at the end of April. And the reason why that's important is because under current law, technically the president is supposed to get authorization for any additional military action beyond 60 days. So we're really looking out for that critical deadline. Right now, though, Republicans still standing behind Trump and his war.
Mel, along these lines, I know you have some new reporting on the more candid conversations Republicans are having about all this in a private group text chat. What are you learning about that?
Yeah, the group chat is where it always goes down, right? So there are concerns in the Republican Party just more broadly right now that the war and the gas prices are going to really cost Republicans the midterm. And something that's been particularly frustrating for Republicans is just that they don't feel like the president is messaging the war very effectively, and it's making their jobs harder. And one perfect example of this was last week, if you remember. Trump went to social media and threatened to erase an entire civilization, blow up Iranian civilization. And behind the scenes, Republicans were actually far more rattled than they were letting on publicly. There was this group chat. It's about over 100 members of the Main Street Caucus. It's a group on Capitol Hill. And a number of Republicans, I'm told, started expressing their alarm in that group chat, saying this message is inappropriate. How are we supposed to defend this? And saying that this is not doing Republicans any favors. So we did ask the White House for comment just more generally about these concerns about the midterms, and they were pretty defensive. I mean, they said that they think that what's going to matter most to the American people is having a commander-in-chief who takes decisive action to eliminate threats and keep them safe, which is exactly what President Trump did with the successful Operation Fury. But even GOP strategists and pollsters told us that the environment and the polling right now is really, really tough for Republicans, even though they are saying they're confident they have some time to turn things around.
And certainly they have an eye on the midterms. While I have you, I do want to ask you about another thing, the Federal Reserve. President Trump is once again threatening the chairman, Jerome Powell. His term expires next month, but he stays on the Board of Governors until 2028, as we've reported. He's also currently the subject of a criminal investigation by the DOJ over this expensive renovation to Fed office buildings. Powell has said politically motivated. He won't leave the board until that investigation is over with, in his words, quote, transparency and finality. President Trump was asked about all this on Fox Business. I want to play some of that, then we'll talk on the other side.
You're not going to drop the probe.
Oh, I'm not playing. I have to find out.
And he said he's not leaving if,
Well, then I'll have to fire him, okay? If he's not leaving on time, I've held back firing him. I've wanted to fire him, but I hate to be controversial.
So, Mel, a lot to digest there. Tell us where things do stand with this investigation and the president's pick to replace Powell. And also, can President Trump fire him?
Well, let me start with that question, because the short answer is no. The president actually cannot fire the Federal Reserve chairman just for malfeasance. He has to only fire them for cause, or he cannot fire them for policy difference. He can only fire them for malfeasance or cause. Now, this has been obviously an ongoing debate. I think the bigger issue here is whether or not they're going to be able to confirm a replacement for Powell on Capitol Hill. And the reason why this is important is because already you have one senator, Tom Tillis. He's retiring. He is pledging not to vote for any nominee, no matter how much he even likes the nominee, as long as this investigation into Powell is still open. Our Julie Sirkin actually sat down with the senator yesterday. Let's watch some of their conversation.
I'm not going to support movement out of the committee. I don't think that there's any path outside of my vote. Kevin's a perfect candidate, and that's why it's so frustrating that somebody in DOJ decided that they were going to maybe garner favor from somebody in the White House by trying to invoke a criminal investigation against Jerome Powell.
And here's the real kicker, Joe, is that if Congress is not able to confirm a replacement, what that means is that Jerome Powell gets to stay on even after his term ends. So perhaps this whole investigation into Powell could really backfire for Trump, Joe.
All right, Mel, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's get an update on how financial markets are viewing all this with Caleb Silver. He is Investopedia's editor-in-chief and the chief business editor of People Inc. Caleb, good to have you with us. Despite the uncertainty, despite the upheaval, but yesterday the S&P 500, NASDAQ closing at record high. So What does this tell us about where Wall Street's head is at right now? And do we have an idea of what we're looking at today?
Yeah, they're looking way past all of the controversy at the Fed, way past what's happening in the Middle East, in Iran, and the Strait of Hormuz. And they're saying corporate profits are looking good. We're right in the sort of the thick of earnings season right now. Corporate profits are expected to grow 12.6% quarter over quarter, year over year. That is 6 consecutive quarters of growth, and that's what you're paying for as investors. So since the last 11 days, we've had this streak, but since April 4th of 2025, last year, right after Liberation Day, stock market's up 41%.
Wow, 41%.
41%.
That is extraordinary. So, I mean, oil prices, though, still an issue. Clearly, at the beginning of this week, we were really worried about them when this blockade issue started happening. Where are things at right now? Does it seem like things are sort of stabilizing a bit?
Yeah, I sat here Monday with prices at over $100 a barrel. We're at $92 a barrel right now. Hasn't moved gas prices. There's usually a 2-week lag there. Gas prices still around $4.09 on average across the country. But if you look into the future, and that's how oil is traded, it's traded as a futures commodity. If you look at June pricing and July pricing, traders see oil at around $80 a barrel. So they assume those prices are going down. That should cool down inflation. They're looking at corporate profits right now, and they're saying we should be invested in the stock market, especially those big stocks that brought us here over the last 5 to 10 years. Those are the stocks that have been rallying a lot. The Magnificent Seven, Tesla, Apple, NVIDIA, of course. That's where the strength has been.
You heard the money sound there, so you know this is serious. You mentioned gas prices. AAA says what today's national average for a gallon is $4.09. It's actually slightly lower than the last few days. Does it feel like we're turning a corner here when it comes to gas prices? I know we're also coming into the summer. Gas prices tend to go up, too.
No, not necessarily. And I think that you're going to have this inflation mantra bubbling up throughout the summer because prices are going to remain high because of high gas and oil prices. But I still think investors are saying we can live with that as long as corporate profits are growing. It's this bifurcation between the stock market and the economy. We see it all the time, very pronounced right now. A lot of concerns about the economy, not a lot of concerns about corporate profits. That's why the stock market back at record highs.
It really is extraordinary how, like, not even 2 weeks ago, it feels like we were all kind of like you were looking at your 401k, you were feeling a little depressed. How quickly things can change. What does that say just about the economy right now?
It just shows you that we moved too quickly in both directions. We got oversold when people were concerned about these high prices and resolution in the Gulf and in Iran. And then we got too optimistic when things seem to be cooling off a little bit. It just shows that volatility, not normal by any stretch. But for individual investors, retail investors, you can't do anything about it, but stay invested. And that's why we're back at record highs right now. We've done nothing but worry. We're back at an all-time high for the S&P 500.
All right, Caleb Silver, good to have you with us. And parts of the Midwest are cleaning up after another night of extreme weather. In Wisconsin and Michigan, heavy rains caused major flooding that washed away roads and stranded vehicles. Officials in several communities had to evacuate people who were stranded by the rapidly rising waters. And in Kansas, another round of powerful storms spawned several tornadoes that damaged homes and businesses there. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster has more from the Heartland.
Across the Midwest,
oh my God,
a new round of dangerous tornadoes. This twister tearing through a field in Iowa, the powerful winds whipping dirt into the sky, onlookers stopping to watch Mother Nature's wrath. Rising waters leading to urgent evacuations in Wisconsin. One official warning, if you do not evacuate, we will likely not be able to assist you. Throughout the state, heavy rain washing out roads and stranding these vehicles. This woman rescued from her trapped car.
Power flash? Hey, power flash! That was a power flash.
In Michigan, powerful storms lighting up the night sky. This road completely destroyed as water rushes through. Strong winds ripping the roof off this ice arena. While in hard-hit Kansas, the cleanup continues after tornadoes ravaged several towns.
The National Weather Service says the tornado that did this damage was on the ground for more than 7 miles, wind speeds 125 miles an hour. Now crews working to restore power all along the path.
My camper is upside down right over here.
That's it right there?
Right there, totally destroyed.
Josh Hudson and his wife in Hisdale are now sifting through the devastation.
Are the tears in your eyes a reflection of what didn't happen to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's always what is. And I'm just so grateful that I'm even able to stand here.
Ready to go.
All right, Shaq, thank you. With all that in mind, time for a check on your morning news now weather. We got record high temps expected in the southeast, mid-Atlantic, as far north as here in New York City today. Angie Lassman's here with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Hi, Joe. Good morning to you. We, of course, have those really warm temperatures that we're going to talk about. And on top of it, we've got some more severe weather, just like what you saw from Shaq there. Let's start with this Bermuda high and kind of explain what the situation is and lay things out. We've got this area of really strong high pressure sitting just off the southeast coast. This is ushering in some really warm air, and that's why you're dealing with these record high temperatures. So the early spring kind of heat wave that's feeling more like summer-like temperatures, at least for the next couple of days, as that high pressure sits just in that same location. It's also bringing in a whole lot of moisture, and that's leading to, of course, with those other ingredients of heat and instability, plenty of dangerous storms. So both of those things are once again on the table here as we get through the day today. When it comes to record highs, we've got a potential, couple dozen of these here as we get through at least the weekend. Notice Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Wilmington, Savannah, all the way into parts of the South. This is going to be something that we likely see for multiple days. Today, Fayetteville ends up into the low 90s. We'll see upper 80s for Charlotte, Elizabeth City, Savannah as well. Gainesville heads to the 90s. And then across parts of the Northeast, these temperatures, again, flirting with records, likely seeing some of these records in Philadelphia, Newark, Washington, D.C., even places like Charleston, likely seeing the potential to hit those mid to upper 80s and potentially even 90s. We'll get a bit of cooler air in the picture here as we get really into the end of the weekend for this region. So 90s on Saturday for Richmond and mid 70s by Sunday, upper 60s to low 60s by the time we get to Sunday in New York City. So a bit of a cool down and more typical kind of spring-like temperatures on the horizon. We're gearing up, though, for that next round of storms. I told you we've got a lot of moisture to tap into. There's a whole lot of rain already ongoing across the Midwest and the Great Lakes. And we've got flood alerts, specifically flood watches for much of this region. Notice Detroit, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee, in that flood watch at this time. And that's because that batch of moisture is still working across. And we've got additional snow melt that we've dealt with on top of all that heavy rain. So we're looking at some concerning flood conditions across that area. But the front working into the Northeast today, this brings us some of that rain for the interior areas. But we'll see one spot where we could see maybe some bumpy weather, not quite as widespread today. But get ready, because we see those kind of stronger storms back in the picture tomorrow, and for a much larger area from Texas to Wisconsin. We'll see the potential for some of those really severe weather to develop as we get through your Friday. And then that system will finally weaken, Joe, as it moves through on Saturday. Still a slight risk of severe weather for the Ohio River Valley, but we're going to see kind of it working offshore and quieter conditions behind it for a lot of folks that really deserve it at this point.
We need some quiet conditions.
Yes, we do.
Angie, thank you so much. Speaking of summer, just as the summer concert season's about to get underway, music fans are celebrating a major legal win. Live Nation, the company that owns Ticketmaster, lost one of our nation's biggest antitrust cases in decades. Yesterday, after a 7-week trial, a federal jury in New York found the concert giant was operating as an illegal monopoly and overcharging fans for years. Live Nation responded to the verdict, saying in part, the jury's verdict is not the last word on this matter. Pending motions will determine whether the liability and damages rulings stand. Live Nation will soon renew its motion for judgment as a matter of law. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda breaks down what this could mean for the music industry.
A major blow to concert behemoth Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster, often blasted for its high ticket prices.
I went to a concert lately at a Live Nation venue, and the prices were kind of crazy.
A jury sided with more than 30 states that argued the company is a monopolistic bully, illegally dominating the industry in one of the most high-profile antitrust cases in decades.
Great day for antitrust law. It's a great day for consumers and fans, and it's a great day for the 34 states and District of Columbia who I've been honored to work for on this matter.
The verdict followed 4 days of deliberations. Lawyers for the states presenting these messages from a Live Nation executive, joking, "I almost feel bad taking advantage of them and robbing them blind, baby." The jury also found fans were overcharged by Ticketmaster, the target of years of complaints over prices and technological meltdowns like ahead of Taylor Swift's Eras tour. The judge will determine what happens next.
The judge now imposes a remedy. That could be anything from breaking up the company to monetary penalties and anything in between.
Live Nation has vehemently denied acting as a monopoly and in court argued success is not against the law, instead saying, quote, "We are fierce competitors." The verdict comes after the Department of Justice struck a surprise settlement days into the highly anticipated trial. But critics said it did not go far enough, and many states pressed ahead with the lawsuit, walking away with a victory that could have a far-reaching impact in the music industry. Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos for more on this verdict. Danny, good to have you with us. So the jury had been in deliberation since Friday. Was this the worst possible outcome for Live Nation? And what do you think the jury was wrestling with over these 4 days to come to this decision?
Well, I think the jury was wrestling with antitrust law because it's incredibly complicated. It is confusing and really, in many ways, deciding whether or not a company has abused its market power in an industry is always a case-specific analysis. You really can't compare one industry to the other. And in a case like this, the defense was even more complicated. It was that essentially they had gerrymandered the plaintiffs. They'd picked and chosen the areas that they said they had the monopoly in. So the defendants say that they still have a motion notwithstanding the verdict. So they say this is not quite over yet. But I think the jury grappled with a lot of complex issues. I'm surprised they got back with a verdict in just 4 days.
As we mentioned, there'll be an appeal here. But as far as determining the penalties, explain how this is going to play out. Because I know the jury found Live Nation overcharged by $1.72 at certain venues. What does that mean? How much money could Live Nation have to pay here?
Well, we see this kind of aggregate damages in class actions, for example. Just because it was $1 something for each consumer or in each area, in the aggregate, that can really add up if you multiply it. And especially in cases where you have things like punitive damages, you can sometimes treble the damages as well. So there is a lot for the judge to figure out. And that's the complex part as well. Ordinarily, the jury decides the damages when they decide the verdict. But because injunctive relief is sought, because they're asking the court maybe to order divestiture, that's something the court decides. That's called an equitable relief. And the court decides that, meaning Judge Subramanian, who, by the way, has had a lot of high-profile cases in just the last year.
All the words you just said, I understand how complicated this is right now.
See, everyone struggles, including me.
On top of all of that, you had this settlement that they had with the Department of Justice, $280 million before this trial began. How does that play into all of this? Because obviously that's different from all these state cases here.
Yeah, DOJ was a plaintiff like the other states. So in a civil case, they're a plaintiff like any other plaintiff, be it a person or a company. So because they settled with DOJ, that means that DOJ is going to be out of the damages calculation, along with whatever states joined in DOJ. And that's the same way it would be in any civil case. If you have multiple plaintiffs, you can settle as a defendant with some of them, leaving the other plaintiffs to go forward. And that's exactly what went on here.
Here's the big question here. Overall, people are obviously very frustrated with ticket prices and the fees and the feeling that, like, the resale market is now, operated by these places. What could this mean for the entertainment industry? Could verdicts like this lead to a seismic shift in how much we have to pay for tickets?
I think even more important than the verdict in this case is the remedy that Judge Subramanian has to fashion. I don't envy him. It's a difficult decision. Will he order a breakup of these companies? What will he order in terms of a remedy? Because I think everyone in the industry is watching closely to see what happens. And while I remain hopeful, consumers and people who purchase tickets for events, they may not see price drops right away.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.